So as governors this past year, did you feel like you were just constantly on Zoom?
Most definitely, Marie. I think Zoom became the most popular word in most of our vocabularies.
You know, that reminds me, it's kind of like Google when it became a verb about 20 years ago. And, you know, meeting in person is definitely so much nicer, but Zoom did have its benefits, don't you think?
For sure. It still allowed us to have meetings and plan what events we could still hold. But most important, we were still able to see our fellow Lions in a safe environment.
So true. One thing I found was that like committee meetings were really nice when you didn't have to drive 3 miles each way just for a 1-hour meeting.
Yeah, and we didn't have to cancel meetings because of a snowstorm either.
Yeah. You know, I think my favorite thing that came out of Zoom was we were able to stay connected with our snowbirds all winter. We actually had a 93-year-old Lions Hall of Famer that the most techie thing he ever used was a flip phone. He went out and he bought a laptop computer. He got a friend to help him out, and he not only attended our virtual meetings, he did our club's very first virtual induction.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah, Zoom, it is a great tool, and I think it's here to stay. So, you know, why not make the most of it?
That's exactly how I feel too.
So, you know, I'd like to share some things that I've learned and some answers of the most common questions that I get, starting with, how do I see everyone at once, otherwise known as the Brady Bunch view? If you could stay around and help me out with this, I'd really appreciate it, Julie.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Great. So right now I'm in speaker view. So up in the corner where it says view, you can click on view and you can switch to gallery view. And now you can see up to 25 participants per page, or even 49 participants on a page, depending on your computer. But the more people that join, the smaller each picture is going to be.
But Marie, mine still looks the same.
So these settings that I'm doing now only affect how you see the screen. It won't affect how anyone else views it. Now, if a host shares their screen or spotlights someone, that will change everyone's view, but that's another subject.
Marie, I've got a question. Why did my name come up as Jeff when I'm on my computer?
Well, it looks like Jeff must have logged in on Zoom on your computer, but he didn't log out after his last Zoom meeting.
But he left the meeting.
Well, unfortunately, just leaving a meeting does not log you out of Zoom. So if you have more than one account using the same computer, after you leave a meeting, be sure to go to open the Zoom app and go to the icon on the right corner and then click sign out.
Oh, okay, I got it. I'll have to tell him that.
But since you're logged in already, I can rename you for this meeting, and it'll go back to the account owner's name after you leave the meeting.
Oh, good, because I don't think Jeff would like to be called Julie.
Probably not. So I'll go ahead and do that for you.
So a host can do that?
Yes. First, I'll click on the participants, and I'll get a list of everyone in the meeting. And then I just go beside their name, and I click on the more, and then I can rename. So I'll go ahead here, and I'll rename you. It's really easy because it's just a few letters. There you go. So anyone can rename themselves the same way, but if someone isn't very computer savvy and they don't want to be called like iPad, the host can put their real name in there, especially in meetings where everyone doesn't know everyone else. It's a nice feature.
Wow, that's great. So I usually see a chat box below the participants, but it isn't there, and I don't see where to click on chat to open it. Can you help me there?
Sure. So depending on your screen size, all the icons down along the bottom here, they might not show up. And if that's the case, on the right-hand side, there'll be a dot, dot, dot. You click on that, and then you'll see the chat to click on.
Okay, I see it now.
So in the chat box, you can send messages to everyone, or you can send it to an individual. But just be sure to check on who it's sending to before you send it.
That's good advice, because I've sent it to the wrong person before.
So on webinars like today, at the MD Virtual Convention, there's also a questions and answers box. So if you've got questions for a presenter or for the tech team, be sure to put them in the question and answer box instead of the chat box, or the questions might get lost among all the social chats. So, oh, I see Governor Rhodes entered the waiting room.
Wait a minute, how do you know that? I don't see anything.
Well, only the host can see if someone's in a waiting room. So I'm going to go ahead and admit Rod. Oh, there he is. Hey, Rod, you might want to adjust your camera so we can see your face.
All right, how's that?
Oh, that looks much better, but it looks like the grandkids must have been using your Zoom.
Yeah, they were playing with the computer last night, and of course, they're never around when you need help to change things back.
Yeah, kids are so good with computers. So anyways, District Governor Julie, thank you so much for joining us. Rod and I need to set up some club meetings, so you're welcome to stay if you'd like.
No, but thanks. I've got to get ready for a garage sale today.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your help. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
So, how do I get rid of this dinosaur?
Oh, gotcha. I think we can do that. Do you see the video camera icon on the bottom left of your screen? Oops, you clicked on it. I didn't mean to have you click on it. Click on it again to turn your video back on. And now click on the arrow that's right beside it.
Oh, okay.
And then choose virtual background. And another box will pop up.
There.
Oh, that's a nice one. I see you got your club banner, your governor banner, and our state flag. That's a nice touch.
Thanks. But why do I still have that bandit?
You do look like a bandit. So that's called a filter. Right beside the virtual backgrounds, there's another tab called video filters. And filters will follow your face wherever you move. Click on none at the top of the list to get rid of the filters. One more thing that you might want to do on your video settings, there's a lot of things up here in the video settings, but one thing that you might want to do is scroll down to always show video preview dialog when joining a video meeting. So then when you do join a meeting, you'll be able to see that and make changes prior to joining the meeting before you get into it. So there you go. Looks like we're all set now.
Well, almost. I'm trying to use my headset because I have a lot of background noise here, and the sound is still coming out of my speakers. How do I change that?
So you see the microphone icon on the bottom left next to the camera?
Yeah, I suppose you don't want me to click on that either.
Yeah, you're right. Because if you click on that, you're going to mute yourself. So click on the arrow right beside it. And you can select a different microphone or a different speaker till you get the right one. And there's another feature in here called switch to phone audio. This is a very useful feature if you don't have good internet. You can join a Zoom meeting just like you normally do, get connected with your video. But then instead of using internet audio, you can dial one of these phone numbers either from a cell phone or a landline. It really does help with the lag that comes with bad internet.
So now that I've taken care of that, can you show me how to set up and host our next meeting since you're not going to be here?
Yeah, so sure. But now to make everything more interesting, it turns out that Oscoda wants to have a Zoom meeting the same day and the same time as ours.
Well, I had my reservation in first, so they'll just have to find someone else to host or wait until we're done.
Well, actually, there's another way we can do that. We can have everyone join the same meeting, and then we can use breakout rooms.
That sounds too complicated.
Well, it's not too bad. I'll make the changes in the meeting and meeting setup, and I'll show you how it works. Willing to give it a try?
I'll try anything.
All right. So I've already got the meeting scheduled. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click on Edit. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to Central Lake and Oscoda. And then we're not going to require registration because that's for another day. And then the waiting room.
Speaking of the waiting room, sometimes when I join a Zoom meeting, I go right into the meeting. And other times I get a message that says to please wait until the host let me in. How do you control that? Because sometimes I might want a waiting room and other times I might not.
Well, that's right here in the setup. You just click on waiting room if you want one, or turn it off if you don't. And there's also a way to change that in the settings during the meeting that I'll get to later.
Well, for this meeting, I think the waiting room should be turned off.
Okay, so we'll have it off. I totally agree. I think club meetings and committee meetings, I don't like to use the waiting room because it's like having the door locked, making everybody wait out in the parking lot until you get there with the key. You want them to be able to come in as soon as they get there, be able to socialize and interact if they want to. So we'll have the waiting room off, and we will also click on allow participants to join anytime.
That sounds good.
Okay, so now since Ascoda is joining us, here's where we need to make a change. We're going to click on the breakout room pre-assign, and we're going to pre-assign a couple breakout rooms. So create rooms. We're going to add a room. We're going to have 2 rooms, and then we'll go over here and we'll rename them. We'll, instead of breakout room 1, we'll call that Central Lake Alliance. And then for breakout room 2, we'll go here and edit, and we'll call that Oscoda Lions. So then you click save, and then when you're in your meeting, then they'll all be ready to set up.
So how do I send them to the breakout rooms?
Well, let me save this, and then now we'll get back to our meeting. And let me show you how that's going to work. When it's time for the breakout rooms, you just click on the breakout room icon to pull up the settings. Now, if you don't see it, you remember to look for the ... over on the right. There'll be more icons to choose from. But here's where you assign each participant to their own club's room.
So what if I miss assigning someone or send them to the wrong room?
That's a great question. So what we'll do is we're going to go to our options, and we'll allow them to choose their own room. So if you send them to the wrong room, they can choose to go back to another room.
Will they have to do something to get into their rooms? Some of our members aren't very techy.
So here's another option. Automatically move all assigned participants into their breakout rooms. We'll want to make sure that that's checked so they'll go automatically and they won't have to click anything.
Is there a time limit for breakout rooms? I don't want them to close in the middle of a meeting.
You'll want to make sure that this breakout rooms close automatically. Make sure that is not checked so they will not close automatically.
So during the meeting, if we are all in separate rooms, what happens if someone comes into the main room later?
So let's see. Let me get back to the meeting, and I'll show you. Oh, shoot. I opened the breakout room. Let me close all the rooms and get him back. Oops.
Wow, that was like the Twilight Zone.
Okay, let me close this breakout room box. We don't want to start it yet. So, so back to your question. If somebody comes in late, what you'll want to do is you'll need to assign a co-host for each breakout room. And they will be notified when someone enters the meeting, and they'll be able to assign them to a room if they can't figure out how to join on their own. They'll also be able to control muting them if needed in their own room.
So how do I make someone a co-host?
So you'll come over to the participants. If the participants isn't up here, you'll click on it down on the bottom. And then you'll click on more, and you can click on make co-host. Now, if you make them a host, you're going to take away your hosting. So make sure you make them a co-host. And it'll say, are you sure? And we're going to say yes.
All right. I think I can handle that. Is there anything else I need to do while I'm hosting?
So at the bottom of the participants box, there's a ... and this is where your meeting controls are. You want to be sure that allow participants to unmute themselves is checked. because this is going to be an interactive meeting. And you'll also want to allow them to rename themselves. Be sure the play sound when someone joins or leaves is not checked, because that can get really annoying. And then also the enable room, you'll want to disable, you'll want to not have that checked. But for right now, I still want to leave the waiting room on.
I just thought of one more thing I'd like to do. I'd like to start out the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance while showing a virtual flag. How do I share that?
So that's a great question. You'll have to do a share screen. So especially if you're going to be doing a screen share, it's best to have all the programs closed except the ones that you really need open, because everything that's open is going to show up right here. Have the picture open, or if you want a video, have the video open and ready to play, but don't start it. And if it's going to be a video, be sure to click on Share Sound and Optimize for Video Clip. This is just a picture, so we're going to click on what we want to share, and then we're going to click Share. And everyone will see your flag, and they can do the Pledge of Allegiance. When you're done, there's a red box at the top, and you can click Stop Share, and back you go. Now, sometimes Zoom takes a different shape when it comes back. So you'll click on the square up in the top corner, not the X, that'll close you out. Or if you click on the minimize, it actually puts you in a little box over here in the corner. You'll click that box to get out of that. You want to click on the square, and then you'll be back to the screen that's best for viewing.
Awesome. I think I got it.
Well, that's great, because I see Wendy's coming in now. Let me go ahead and admit her to the room. So, hey, if you could stay around for a couple of minutes, I'd like to show you both how to spotlight a guest speaker. So when they're speaking, you're sure that all the participants see them in full view.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Great. Sounds good to me, too. I've always wondered how to do that.
Well, hi, Wendy, and welcome.
Hi.
Perfect timing. So you need at least 3 participants with their video on in order to spotlight, which took me a while to figure out. But you have to be a host or a co-host in order to spotlight someone, but it's pretty simple. You just go to that person, you click on the ... and then you click on Spotlight for Everyone. And then that will show up in everybody's screen as a spotlight. Now, say you're a presenter and say you're interviewing a recipient of a project. You can add a spotlight, and now you have side by side. Now, say the next presenter is going to come in. You can click on the ... and you can replace the spotlight, and now your new presenter's in. When they're done, you just click on Remove Spotlight. You can go back to your gallery view or speaker view or whichever you prefer, and that's it. Pretty simple.
That is pretty cool. If that's all you need from me, I see the grandkids are coming home, so I'm going to go have some quality poppy time with the kids.
Hey, that sounds great, but I've got one more thing I need you to do since you're on my laptop. After you leave the meeting, click on the Zoom screen, and on the top right, you actually have your picture there because you've added your picture in your profile. Click on that and go down to the bottom and click Sign Out. So that way, when I log in on my computer, I won't have your picture.
And I guess you don't like dinosaurs.
I do like dinosaurs. I might have to add that background into my backgrounds.
Okie dokie. Bye-bye.
Thanks for your help. Bye-bye.
Hi, Governor Rod.
Okay, so Wendy, what are we doing today?
Yes. Well, I have a state projects presentation coming up October 16th. This is something new we're doing, and I know the presenters will be there, but I'm not sure that I'll have an audience.
Ah.
So I'd like to know if people are coming and how I would do that.
Yeah, so the best way to do that is just to require a meeting registration.
Okay, but even if they register, maybe they won't come.
Well, that's true, but it does give you a good gauge of how much interest you have.
All right, so how do I set that up?
So you'll schedule that just like a regular meeting. You'll give it a
Okay.
date, time, description, duration.
All right, so I've got all that in.
Okay, and then we'll go edit it. And we'll click on registration. We just click here, registration required.
All right. Are we going to want a waiting room for this?
Absolutely. That's a good idea for presentation type meetings. It's kind of like going into a theater for a show and you're able to take your seat, but the curtain's not going to go up until everybody, all the presenters and hosts, until they're all ready. And then the curtain can go up and everybody can see what's going on.
Okay, well, that's making a lot of sense to me. But when we let everyone in, will it get a little bit crazy with people talking and all of that?
Let's click on mute participants upon entry, and we won't allow them to unmute during the presentation.
All right, so what about the presenters? Will they be able to unmute themselves, or will I have to handle that for them?
We're going to make them hosts. We'll make them co-hosts, and they'll not only be able to unmute themselves, they can also do screen shares for PowerPoint presentations. They can share videos. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Got it.
All right. So one more thing on the setup. You might want to automatically record the meeting if you're going to want to have a recording, so it doesn't get overlooked on the day of the show.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I know I would forget that.
And you can choose on the local computer or in the cloud. Just make sure there's enough space there because they are quite large files. So we'll just click on Save Registration. And then now we've got some more options down at the bottom. Under the registration options, you can click on Edit, and you can click on Automatically Approve or Manually Approve. I like to automatically approve because then the person registering gets an immediate confirmation with the list so they know they're registered.
Oh, yeah, and I think everybody likes to know that. I know at least I do. So then they won't have to have a really old email to go back and forth to find when the event comes up in October, will they?
Well, you can set up your email and let them know that you will send reminder emails as it gets closer to the event, so they won't have to worry about that.
All right, so it'll give them a reminder or two to attend.
Yep, that's a great idea. It's always good to have that reminder. So then next you can choose what information you want to collect during the registration. You can choose a list of questions that are already prepared. You can do custom questions. I think I have a couple in here already, asking for their district or their club name or whatever information you would like to gather in the registration.
Okay. So when we get to maybe branding and logos and things like that, am I able to put up, like we did with this event, the state projects logos?
Absolutely. Yes. And branding is really good because it makes your registration page look more official when you add that logo and the banners to personalize it. And the image sizes are right here. So as long as you follow these size guidelines, they'll work just great.
Okay. And something that I haven't done before, can we attach a survey, like a post survey when the event is done?
Yes. Well, you can actually do it right during the meeting or even at the very end of the meeting. You can run a poll and you can ask any questions that you want, like whatever, how did you hear about it? How did you like it? Whatever you would like to ask, you can ask and have a single answer or a multiple choice answer.
All right, so I can get really specific with it.
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that. So you did say this is being set up, I mean, how I started it was setting it up as a regular meeting, except the registration will be required.
Yes.
So this means that everyone can see everyone else's video, because if it's a really large audience, it feels like it could get kind of confusing and awkward.
Yeah, a little awkward, yeah. So if you do have a big audience, it is good to convert that meeting to a webinar. But yeah, kind of like we're doing this convention.
Yeah, like this convention is a webinar.
Absolutely.
All right.
So, but you know what? I'm afraid there's just not enough time to go through webinars. They get very complicated. But we have a great tech team, and we have learned so much over the last year on webinars and Zoom meetings and just little hints and tips. So if you want help with any of those things, just contact the tech team, and we'd be here to help. Like Governor Rod always says, tap your resources.
Yeah, and I have. And you've been a great help to me today and in the past. And I'm sure there will be a next time as soon as tomorrow when I'm going to need your assistance. So thanks a lot, Marie, for walking me through all of that.
Thank you. You've been great working with Wendy. Have a great day and enjoy the convention.